Hi there guys, I'm here at Expo in Sydney with Chris, who is developing Vigilante Speak for the Dead. For those of you who don't know, it's actually based on a movie that will be coming out called John Doe, and this is the game that's going to be pretty much associated with it. It's the same sort of theme that you'll be playing in the game that's in the movie John Doe. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Chris and he's going to tell me a bit about the game.
So it's you're right in the sense that it's based on the movie John Doe, but it's actually the precursor to the movie. So the game is coming out before the film, which is unique in films and games. They were conceived together to exist as one entity rather than the typical you do a film and then a game maker will license that film and go ahead and create a story based around what was in that film. What we did is we decided to take a story and say, okay, how can we tell this across games and film and comic books in such a way that they all complement each other, that you have to consume all of them to understand the full breadth of the story of John Doe.
The thing I like about this game is you mentioned comic books. The artwork sort of reminds me a bit almost like a comic book. So
yeah.
It's got that feel. And when you're playing the game, it actually feels like you're in sort of a comic book environment almost.
Yeah.
You interact with the way the artwork is and the characters, and then you've got the planning where you have your own teams. You can plan to take down criminals.
Right.
You know, it's very sort of...
Well, we went to great lengths to try to make sure that the art style of the game was very polished, very clean, but also dark so that it felt like the film. The film is a very dark film, just in terms of overall grade and look. And we wanted to really capture that in the game, and we wanted to stray away from other iOS games and Facebook games that have, you know, not to say anything negative, but a cartoony type of look. You know, this is a mature game for a mature audience, and we really wanted to create a sophisticated look for it.
I think that really does come across because I don't know if my viewers know, but I've actually worked a bit on the film, a little bit. So it is a very, very dark story, and the game is very, very dark too. And,
it's a very serious subject, and a lot of people have asked us, you know, well, how do you make a game based on this type of a subject? For obviously your viewers don't know this, but the film is about a vigilante who kind of takes the law into his own hands, and it's very much based in reality. And it's not something that we wanted to water down with a game. So we decided to tackle this very serious subject by challenging people, by really putting them up to decisions that tested their morality. And it's not always clear what the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do is.
Yeah, that's right. It's not so cut and dry, is it?
No.
So a bit about the gameplay, the way it works. I've played it briefly. So basically, it's basically very strategic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like a game like an Xbox game where you run around shooting people. It's more that you plan to take someone down,
right? And
then if you're successful, it'll play a little like a video, if I'm right.
Yeah, I would call it a massively multiplayer strategy game.
Right.
Yeah. And the game is completely two-dimensional. And we started with the idea of taking browser-based games and saying, how can we evolve this genre of games to the next level? I'm sorry, I said browser-based games. I meant menu-based games.
Yep.
How can we take menu-based games and really evolve them to the next level? And the game is quite simple in the way that a lot of these menu-based games are. So anybody can pick up the game and just play it and have a good time. But the level of strategy that's contained in there really takes quite a long time to fully reveal itself. And it's quite addicting. We found that even the people on the team, and you know, for those of you who aren't in games, I mean, we all play the games that we make, but it's rare to get so addicted to the games that you're making that it starts to even impact your work. You know, I mean, we've had several days where, you know, the entire team, the sound will go off on the iPad, and everybody in the whole office will pick up their iPads to see what kind of rumble is going down, and everybody joins in, and at some point somebody will have to say, like, we got to get back to work here. We got to actually make this game. Yeah.
You know, you can play it later. That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, like that's the thing also about the strategy is that characters have different levels, and you know you team up with gangs, and if you rush headlong into an attack, if you target the wrong person, you'll get killed. Yeah. Which I learnt before.
Yes.
I'm like, you're going down, guy.
Yeah.
Who cares if he's level 49? You know, and I took him on and I got killed.
Now the really interesting thing about it too is that the strategy is so deep that as a level 20 person, you can take down a level 100 person.
Oh, okay.
But it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of forethought, and the game is a truly, truly social game.
Yep.
So a lot of times we use the term social game to describe games that are distributed via social platforms. But this is actually a very social game where you have to cooperate, you have to make alliances, you inevitably make enemies, so you have to work together. Now, a very low-level person can become a very, very dominant force in the game, depending on how charismatic they are, how much they can rally the troops, how large they can grow their crew, and how smart they are about how they launch their attacks.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy and who you ally with, and you've got to check the crime stats, where there's the most crime, and where there's the least crime, and sort of sneak your way in and everything. I sort of noticed a bit of that, you know.
Yep.
Sort of reminds me a bit of like Command and Conquer. You sort of sneak your way into the weak bases. And, but this is more, you know, planning and thought, like you said.
And the other thing is, you know, you really have to. A lot of the game is about investigation. You have to pay attention to the people that are your potential targets, because it's very easy to make an assumption about somebody based on a small bit of information, only to realize later that they were an innocent person that simply looked guilty. So if you don't fully follow the threads, you can run into a lot of trouble. And of course, targeting innocent people will get other crews backing up that innocent person, other crews targeting you, and then of course, you know, these guys speak for the dead guys who will come after you, and they are ruthless.
Yeah, you don't want those guys coming
after
you. Trust me, if you've seen the movie, you don't want those guys coming after you. Well, thank you very much, Chris.
Absolutely.
I really look forward to playing more of the game, and when was the release? Sorry, we're getting it first.
Yeah, we're gonna do an Australia-only release next month, so November.
Yep.
Our goal is to have it out by Halloween, but it's hard to say with, you know, turnaround times on submissions. But yeah, November we will release it to Australia. It'll be exclusive to Australia for a minimum of a month and a half before we go worldwide. And the film is an Australian film, the game is an Australian game, studio is an Australian studio, so we really wanted to give Australia a chance to experience this game first.
Oh, that's awesome, you know, and I believe it's coming out for iOS devices and Android?
For Australia only, we will do iOS, and then we'll launch Android, Facebook, and a web version.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
And as well an iPad version, which takes advantage of the new beautiful iPad Retina screen.
Retina screen, the high resolution.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
You do a face or anything?
No, just do a deadpan face, just straight ahead, kind of like it's a mug shot.
How about like the sus, you know, I got like a gun in my hoodie, you know?
It's gonna be, just so you understand, so it's gonna be for like,
it's like a mug shot,
just a dead-on mug shot.
All right.